All right, welcome back to the Power Ranking Show here on the Pick Six Podcast with Pete Prisco. Force somebody to get me a windscreen.
What are you doing?
Pew, 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 pew. Time of the season where we start thinking about the playoffs. Oh man, I love the playoff simulator.
Playoffs?
I love playoffs. Who's in, who's out, who's going to get home playoff games? Let's look at teams' path to the playoffs using the power rankings as a predictor. Your biggest riser this week, Pete, is the Cleveland Browns, who jumped 6 spots all the way into the top 10, currently sitting at number 7. The Browns have beaten good teams. They've looked awful on offense at times, but Deshaun Watson's starting to play better. If your rankings hold up, they'll definitely make the playoffs. Do you believe the Browns make the playoffs?
Yes. And I picked them to make the playoffs before the season. I thought that team had tons of talent on the roster. It was all about Deshaun Watson. What he did at the end of that game last week was impressive. Got to give it to him. And I think, like I mentioned in the power rankings, Stefanski's done a great job keeping that team together. So, yeah, I do think they make the postseason. I think you'll get 3 teams out of that conference.
The odds, Wilson, according to the upshot of the Browns making the playoffs, 84%. And over on DraftKings, yes makes the playoffs minus 320. So
for 3 teams?
No, for the Browns.
Oh, yeah. So let me ask you guys this. Both tackles are hurt. Denzel Ward got banged up, it looks like, on Sunday. Any concern about just losing bodies at this point? Because that's all the excuses we're making for the Bills. Like, everyone on the defense is hurt, so we're going to give them a break.
Yeah, but they're not season endings. The one tackle is, but the other one's not. So I think they'll be okay.
Okay. That's a good team. And
it's all about Deshaun Watson playing better than he's played. And he started to show that a little bit again on Sunday.
I mean, especially on that game-winning field goal drive where he had, I think, a 2nd and 19. He made it through a 17-yard laser to Amari Cooper that kept that drive alive. Eventually, obviously, they went down and got that field goal. Prisco, let me ask you this, though. Look, you think the Browns can make the playoffs? Let's add some spice to that. Can the Browns win the AFC North?
Yes.
Yeah,
they can.
I think so.
Yes, they can. Absolutely, they can.
You think they will?
Well, I mean, the Steelers game this week is pretty darn big, isn't it? Who would have thought that?
Stop.
Look at Ryan Wilson just waving us off every time we talk about the Steelers.
Well, here's the thing. Brinson, and he says he repeats a lot of things, but he's not wrong when he says the Steelers and the Magic Beans. And we can talk about this in a second. How is this team winning football games?
Mike Tomlin.
The Steelers are a house of cards.
They really are, but they're super glued together right now. Like
their schedule isn't brutal either, if I'm not mistaken.
But they lose to bad teams and they be good. It's the wildest thing. And by the way, I said this to Brinson and Breach earlier. What if I told you in August that Ken Dorsey gets fired before Matt Canada and there's no criminal intent involved? Would you believe me?
Yeah, no. I would have thought that was absolutely a surprise.
Here's the Steelers schedule coming up at the Browns this week. Huge game at the Bengals. So I think
the next 2 weeks will decide whether they win the division.
Yeah.
Versus the Cardinals, versus the Patriots, at the Colts, versus the Bengals, at the Seahawks, at the Ravens. So
it's not easy.
Not easy. Yeah, 61% chance the Steelers make the playoffs according to the upshot. Ravens are at 89%. The Bengals all the way down at 44%.
Well, I mean, one reason that's so low, and the Steelers are a good example of this. If the Steelers just split with the Bengals, they don't have to sweep them. If they just split with them, they're going to win almost any tiebreaker with the Bengals. You're already 1 game ahead. The split, the Bengals have to pick up a game somewhere else. And the Bengals are 1-4 in the AFC. They're 0-2 in the division. The Steelers are 2-0 in the division.
What?
And that is what is going to kill the Bengals. It's just that the tiebreakers, every tiebreaker is working against them.
Almost on the line this week.
But they're better shaped than the Bills. Like, I don't even think it's close.
Right. But
by the way, the Bengals are minus 135 to make the playoffs at DraftKings, and the Steelers are minus 110.
The Bengals season could be on the line this week?
Yeah, I think so.
I think this is a very important game, but I mean,
that means Breach knows it's do or die this week.
No, because after this game, I think they will be favored in every game until week 17 against the Chiefs. And if you win all those games,
Jacksonville on Monday night,
they're going to be favored in Jackson. They'll be favored in Jackson.
Probably close.
I think they
6.5 point. They were 6.5 point favorites against the Texans and lost outright. So I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying they can't lose, but I'm just saying that if they do win the games they're supposed to win,
I think Jackson will be favored in that game.
They'll be in good shape.
A point or two or something.
Yeah, it'll be a pick 'em or Jacksonville -1 or something like that.